Hello and welcome to Tech Talk. Me, Anthea, will co-host Plumi Kenton Milroy.
In the Pacific, your project is out now, and what are some institutions which you think in the Pacific can use that FRRouting you are developing?
So, it's interesting, I didn't mention before, but you mentioned short, I lived part in Asia Pacific too. I used to live in the Philippines for 2.5 years, and I used to live in Thailand 2.5 years too. So I really like from that point the Asian Pacific things. Unfortunately, never managed to live on some nice small island like this or anything. That didn't really work out that well. I normally need to be near a bigger airport. There are a lot of places here where you don't need that much high-end router, and I talk sometimes to like ISPs. I know a long discussion with ISPs in Cambodia, and they don't need that much bandwidth. They have they buy some of the small Cisco routers, and they have a few gigabit of traffic, and that's it on these routers. And they spend a lot of money for maintenance. They spend a lot of money for buying these boxes, and I look at it. You can take today an old PC, load Linux on it, put our product on it, and you can do the same thing. It costs you more or less nothing, because you may even find a PC for free, an old one.
Yeah.
And then for maintaining it, you don't have one company. You can either decide, get some good university folks there, teach them and pay them, and they hire them and they do the maintenance for you. Otherwise, you can find somebody who's willing to pay support, and if you don't work, so you have multiple choices. And I think it's a big opportunity. The problem what I found is some of the cultures here in Asia is that the ones who make the decisions and the ones who are running it are very different. And some of the ones who make decisions, they're afraid that if things go wrong, the whole idea you can't get fired for buying Cisco, even if it doesn't cost if it costs way more. Just because they claim I decided I buy a Cisco box, but if something goes wrong, obviously everyone else is supposed to use Cisco. Why should I have known about it? If I use an open source blockchain and something goes wrong, then I may personally hang on it. And that's, I think, is the biggest challenge here in Asia Pacific sometimes. To get overcome it, and but it's very different between the different countries here, so the cultures there.
Thank you very much, Martin Winter, on this very cool project you're working on using open source, and also the mindset that you took to come out from a full-time job and then venture out into the wild by collaborating with other people and then developing this routing solution using open source. What are the things that you think the Pacific community should be aware of in this the project you're working on, or the open source projects?
I think in general the whole network area, I think, is very strong moving towards open source more and more. I mean, if you think back how many years now on the server side, Linux completely dominates the server world, even in commercial. And a long time before, on the networking side, it was the classic vendor with the fixed setup. And I know the time when I used to work at Cisco, how many customers always came to us and asked about some programmer interface on it and other special things so they can automate it or add their own features on it. And Cisco normally always said no, because they were afraid if you make it too easy for people to automate or something or interoperable, then they cannot sell the next box or something anymore. So, and that, I think, was the thing which drove a lot of the large companies, when you hear Google building their own routers, Facebook building their own things, because a lot of these vendors just basically didn't really want it. And now basically there is so much push towards open source that large companies started building their own hardware and everything to build it, and the software on it, which a lot of them use our software. That it's basically it's really a move in that direction. And I think for people sometimes looking for an interesting job with a good future, I think it helps a lot. I mean, it helps a lot for learning point of view. So we always look, obviously, people who want to just learn how things work, they can build up test networks at home. Obviously, very easy.
Yeah.
You can build complex topology, simulate it, test it, play with it.
Yeah.
Or you can actually start developing, and I say you can start your career very easy, I believe, these days if you're in there. And us on FRRouting, we are an open community. I mean, we welcome anyone who wants to come in. They can come, they can ask questions. We even say, like, there are people sometimes, I'm not good at programming, how can I help? A lot of people are good at programming, they're very bad at writing documentation. So we always say, like, if you like to play with this stuff on something and you want to write up documentation, how things works, wow, we love you.
So basically it's like routing is just a hardware, but things that drives routing is software?
Yeah, I mean the whole routing is basically always kind of software. I mean it's the decision. I mean the whole project is like a software project basically. So you can run it on any kind of Unix platform.
One last crazy question for audience. Many students in Vanuatu, Fiji, Papua New Guinea and New Caledonia, Cook Islands, Samoa, Tonga, plus some Micronesian, Polynesian islands. The students are going out to study in New Zealand and Australia, plus other parts of the world. They love to go into computer science or doing coding. For you personally, what programming language do you love?
What programming language? I have to say I kind of get forced to more or less every programming language. I think I programmed for some time. So I really love C, and I know a lot of people think that's kind of old time. But if you look into network programming and stuff, C is still the dominant language there. Object-oriented like C++ hasn't really taken that much off there. There are a few projects, but it's kind of a more limited there. And then depending what it is, otherwise in the network community, like ISP community, Python is obviously very strong. I mean, that's the other big one. I would say Java, everyone normally jokes in this community about it. So it depends really. I mean, the same thing when you say Python is very strong in the network community. I know, like, if you go more towards the web community, then Java is a much bigger thing again. And Ruby is like very common there again or something. So it really depends a bit on the environment, what's like kind of the big thing.
So now discussion with Martin Winter. You have a look website NetDEF down screen and check him out website Martin Winter name and you have find him to APNIC website. One presenter APNIC 46 and you have follow map him to all blogs where me write them and plus open source project
and you may want to also add the website for the project is FRRouting.org. FRRouting. FRRouting. FRR at the beginning stands basically for free range routing. So
free range routing.
Yeah.
So find a website by start down the footer plus screen and check them out. Please load them and follow them up all cool updates where Martin Winter is again. Thank you once again for having you on the show. It's going to be on Facebook, it's going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be on television. Let's meet up again sometimes, maybe in IEFTS or somewhere in all these telecommunication or networking conferences around Asia Pacific and the region.
Okay,
Thank you very much.